On October 16, 2025, a new partnership is reshaping the world. China and Russia are forging a deep strategic alliance. Their goal? To build a multipolar world order, reducing Western, especially American, influence. Both nations feel targeted by US-led sanctions and alliances, and see cooperation as the best way to resist. Russia brings military might and resources. China brings economic and technological power. At the recent Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, their leaders outlined a plan for new institutions and financial systems, independent of the West. This partnership is a direct challenge to decades of US dominance. For many in the global South, this alternative promises more inclusion and respect for sovereignty. But it also raises questions about the future of international law, human rights, and global stability. The world is entering a new era of great power competition, with China and Russia at its center. Every nation must now reconsider its place in this shifting landscape. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Tianjin was more than a diplomatic gathering, it was a declaration of a new global center of power. With leaders like Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, and Narendra Modi present, the summit showcased a united front of non-Western nations. Xi called for true multilateralism, where all countries are equals, not dictated to by a single superpower. Putin echoed this, praising the SCO as a model for stability outside Western influence. Images of Xi, Putin, and Modi, together, symbolized a new era of Eurasian cooperation. The summit wasn't about forming a military alliance, but about building a flexible network for a more balanced world order. It marked the end of the post-Cold War era, and the start of a new chapter in international relations. The world's power map is being redrawn by more than just the West. At the summit, President Xi unveiled the Global Governance Initiative, China's blueprint for a new world order, sovereign equality, respect for international law, with China's own interpretation, true multilateral cooperation, a people-centered approach, and a focus on tangible results. These principles appeal to many countries, especially in the global South, promising a more just and equitable system. The GGI challenges the liberal order by prioritizing state sovereignty and national interests over universal human rights. China's vision is systematic: reshape global norms, empower developing nations, and offer an alternative to Western dominance. But it also risks sidelining individual freedoms in favor of state control. The GGI is China's answer to what comes after the US-led order. The world is being offered a new blueprint, one with very different values at its core. China's vision depends on the support of other major powers, especially Russia and India. For Russia, partnership with China is essential for survival amid Western sanctions. Putin is now one of Xi's strongest allies. Together, they're building financial systems and security networks that bypass the West. India's role is more complex. Despite tensions with China and ties to the US, Modi's presence at the summit signals a willingness to engage. India is balancing its interests, refusing to fully commit to either bloc. By joining SCO initiatives, India keeps its options open and asserts its independence. For China, India's involvement lends legitimacy and broadens the appeal of its vision. The cooperation of China, Russia, and India forms a new Eurasian triangle of power. Their interests may diverge, but their shared desire for a multipolar world is reshaping geopolitics. This alliance is not just about opposition to the West, it's about creating new rules for the global game. The world's center of gravity is shifting eastward. China knows that real power comes from economic and technological strength, not just words. At the summit, China pledged billions in loans and aid, and proposed a new SCO development bank, directly challenging the World Bank and IMF. China is also pushing for alternative payment systems, reducing reliance on the US dollar. Technologically, China offered SCO members access to its Beidou satellite system and launched an AI cooperation center. These moves create a separate financial and technological ecosystem, with China at its core. By providing resources and advanced tech, China is building a network of dependency and influence. This is a new kind of empire, one built on economic and digital control, not military conquest. Countries that join benefit, but also align more closely with China's strategic goals. Piece by piece, China is constructing the infrastructure for a new world order. The balance of global power is being quietly, but decisively, re-engineered. China and Russia's push for a new order is driven by deep grievances with the current system, which they see as a tool of US dominance. They point to American military interventions and NATO expansion as threats to their security. China sees US support for Taiwan and military presence in Asia as interference. Both accuse the US of hypocrisy, using international law and human rights selectively. Economic sanctions and the dominance of the dollar are seen as weapons wielded by Washington. Their response: build alternative financial systems and institutions immune to US pressure. At the heart of the conflict is a clash of values. The West promotes liberal democracy and individual rights. China and Russia champion state sovereignty and stability. They accuse the West of using human rights as a pretext for interference. Their vision prioritizes state control over individual liberties. This fundamental disagreement is fueling the struggle for a new world order. The China-Russia partnership is shifting the tectonic plates of global politics. We're moving from a world with one dominant power to a landscape with multiple centers of influence. The transition will be complex, marked by competition and uncertainty. The global system is fragmenting. Soon, there may be two competing standards for technology, finance, and security. Countries will have to choose sides or navigate between rival blocs, making international cooperation harder. Diplomacy will become more contested, with institutions like the UN turning into battlegrounds for competing visions. Smaller nations may find new opportunities, but also face greater risks. This isn't a return to the Cold War, but a more fluid, multipolar era. The ultimate shape of the New World Order is unknown, but the transformation is already underway. The global landscape is being fundamentally and irreversibly changed.